Hello YouTube, welcome back to another exciting episode of Easy Prepping. Today we're going to talk about things that I think should be stockpiled for use in bartering. You see, bartering was used instead of currency, well, long before currency, and a lot of preppers will tell you that you should keep some currency on hand in case something happens, an economic collapse, banks are closed. Well, I think in a long-term SHTF, things like this for bartering, well, if I were to go to the lady who lives up the road a ways that has chickens and offer her this for a dozen eggs, she'd probably laugh me right off her front porch. So if you do stockpile some cash to have at home, I'd recommend using it within a few days, a week tops, and then it's going to be, well, worthless. Behind that would coin money, US quarters, dollars, nickels, dimes, might have value a little longer, being as it's something more a physical metal that you could have. But one of the first things that I think you should have on hand that will hold its value longer: silver, 0.999 pure silver, troy ounces. These are not backed by any government, they're just pure silver. Also, gold fits into the same category. We don't call them precious metals for nothing. I just kind of envision if I were to go to the lady up the road, want to get some eggs from her, and I had an ounce of pure silver stamped into a round coin like this, she'd be willing to talk. Next thing on my list is salt. I'll set it over here. You go to your local Walmart, Kroger, look at their name brand salt, their brand, not the big name brand, and you can get these for about 50 cents each. In a long-term SHF, these are going to be worth their weight in gold. In fact, salt from the Roman times up through the Middle Ages was used as a currency. It was sometimes even called white gold. So for very little money, you can go and get yourself a whole bunch of these and put them on yourself. One little side note, whether you get iodized salt or not, for just human consumption, putting on your food, you want iodized salt. If you want to use your salt for other purposes like canning or preserving meat, then you want to get the salt that just says salt, does not say iodized on the container. For number 3, I'm going to throw all the other seasonings into one big clump. The first after salt, I think, would be ground pepper, just table pepper, what you'd have in your shaker on the kitchen table. Either that or whole peppercorns and have the grinder. And after that, I buy these large sizes of, well, this one's granulated onion. There's onion powder, garlic powder, granulated garlic. The way I put together my shelves of seasonings is when I started smoking. I have a smoker. I occasionally do my own briskets or ribs. I would look online for recipes of rubs to use when I was going to be smoking. And any ingredient that I didn't already own, I would get some. In fact, I'd usually get a large one. I have quite a few of these on the shelf in the basement of all different kinds of spices. And these would be, I think, very big bartering items. When people's food that they did have started getting bland, this would be worth a lot. Number 4, I'm going to say a way of making fire. I think a lot of people are not going to have that laying around. And if they do, what they have is not going to last long. So a pack of Bic lighters. One Bic lighter could be worth quite a bit in bartering. Also, Dollar Tree. Pick up a big thing of kitchen matches. And under that, I'm going to lump in candles. Uh, a lot of my candles that I have on the shelf, I found at estate auctions. You get boxes. I think last time I got like 4 good size boxes of candles for I think it was 15, 20 bucks. So fire and candles is number 4. Okay, number 5 on our list is starts into the food category area. I'm going to say one of the cheapest to get, and you could put up, if you do it right, will last a long time on the shelf and could be valuable barter item, and that is just white rice. I recommend white rice for long-term shelf because brown rice has oils in it that will go rancid. So white rice, if you put it up right, and there are tons of videos out there from Pepper showing you how to do that, that last almost indefinitely on the shelf. And right next to those, you should have dried beans. I don't mean like buying a can of pork and beans. I mean buying a bag of dried beans. Or I'll also include in that lentils and other legumes. But you also put those up properly, and the shelf life is almost indefinite. But a mason jar full of dried beans could be a lot to that neighbor up the road that you could be wanting some of what he has. Okay, beans was number 6. Bumping up to number 7, I'm going to say canned food. And by that, I kind of mean commercially canned, not what you've done yourself. And there's canned vegetables and canned meats. Some canned meats, including like Spam. There's some canned hams out there that if you buy them, the best by date is like 6, 7 years out. So, and you know they're going to be good longer than that. But canned vegetables, canned meat, commercially canned food in general is number 7. Number 8 is, well, booze. Being a born and raised Kentuckian, I am kind of partial to the bourbon, but I do have other whiskeys on the shelf in the basement, and I do have a fairly good stockpile. So in a long-term SHTF, I'll either have a lot to barter with or be very happy. Next, I'm going to say over-the-counter drugs. That's number 9, commonly called OTC drugs. And just your basic cough syrups, cough drops, aspirin, stuff you just walk into a drugstore and you pick up and buy it, walk out. Could be worth a lot to somebody up the road that's got a kid with a bad cough. I'm just saying, if OTC drugs could be very valuable in a bartering type situation. So get you some of those, put them on the shelf. And number 10, coffee. Could be very valuable. If you've got enough of it on the shelf to support your own habit, then it could be pretty valuable to other people that didn't stockpile any, that really have to have their morning pot of coffee. And number 11, I'm going to say what we call cordage. 550 cord. I have a bunch of that I've purchased. I've got it in the basement. But I think could also be a barter type item because I don't think a lot of people realize how valuable cordage could be, even with something as simple as making a clothesline, building a shelter, putting up a tripwire for an alarm system. A lot of uses for cordage, and I think it's something that put on the shelf you could use in barter. And next we have another, what I consider pretty much a critical item. I have quite a bit of this on the shelves, and I could probably have enough that I could barter it out. Duct tape, 1,001 uses. My last video we covered how to seal your windows in a fallout situation. Duct tape. Once again, it could be a very valuable barter item. Number 13, I almost didn't put in here. Some people will tell you, do not barter this, that you're just asking for trouble. And I would recommend if you do use it as a barter item, you be extremely careful. I mean, very careful who you barter with. But I'm talking about brass with a little lead attached. Can't use the real name. The YouTube inspectors might have a little conniption fit. But you do not want to barter this out and then have it come back and bite you in the butt, so to speak. So be very careful if you barter brass. Be very careful who you barter with. Make sure it's someone you trust, close neighbor, friend, family member. Once again, you can't be careful enough with bartering brass. Number 14 is gasoline. And well, since I live out in the country and have a tractor, diesel fuel. I know they cost a lot now, but in a grid down absolute situation, say neighbor up the road has a generator, but he didn't stockpile enough gasoline. An extra 5-gallon can you could barter with him could be worth a lot. Same goes for the diesel fuel as far as well, running tractors, especially out here in the country. Number 15, and last but definitely not least, is antibiotics. And my neighbor has a pond, as do I. They're both stocked with fish. And God forbid, in a grid down situation, our fish should get sick. Very important to have in a grid down situation is your fish antibiotics, because you really don't want to lose your fish. Hint taken? I'd like to give a brief little lecture on the importance of being able to barter. Back when I was in the Navy in the 70s, we had a system we called ComShaw. It was our underground supply system. I swear there were things that if I had to order them and wait on the Navy supply system, well, here 40 plus years later, they'd probably still be waiting. But in ComShaw, we traded between units. Give an example is the torpedo shop I was putting together in northern Japan. We were so far out in the woods because, well, in case of unauthorized explosions, they wanted us a little piece away from everything else. But we didn't have enough water pressure for the firefighting system inside the building. So the Seabees came out and built us a 30,000-gallon underground water tank. I made a deal with the Seabees that if my crew tore apart the forms after the concrete set, we could keep the lumber. And if you know anything about Japan at all, lumber is like gold. You could get anything for it. And so to build our torpedo shop, our break area and everything, we needed drywall, spackle, paint. I was able to get all that stuff by trading the lumber that came out of this 30,000-gallon water tank. And without that, shoot, I'd probably still be waiting on that order for drywall. In closing, I'd like to ask, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. And if you found this video informative, please click that thumbs up like button. And always remember, hope for the best, but plan for the worst. Thank you for watching.